Actually, we do have a guest.
We do have a guest. He's been on the show before. He's our old friend. Let's welcome him back. The creator of the original IT Crowd and so much more, and big old Irish cousin of Harmontown from the Irish Harmontown
experience.
annex. I was giving him time to get in the door. Let's have a hand for Graham Lineham.
Yeah.
Hello, Graham.
Hi, hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
What brings you to town? Do you live here now, or are you a traveler?
I just come here to do Harmontown.
That's it? You just
yeah.
went?
I had the last time I was here, the first day, I did the same thing. I tweeted, I'm in LA, what should I do? And I went to Glendale, which I didn't really like. So no offense to people. It was the kind of square.
Nobody really likes Glendale.
It's like The Prisoner, isn't it? A little bit, doesn't it? And then today, I forgot I went to Glendale before, and I did exactly the same thing. I said, where should I go? And I fucking ended up in Glendale again. And then I did Harmontown that night, and I've just done that again now. So it's like Bart and Fink, except instead of doing wrestler movies, I'm just going to be on Harmontown for the rest of my life.
The next time you come, you should come with Ian Bowers.
Who's Ian Bowers?
He's this guy who comes here sometimes and does a million things.
Sorry.
Like maybe occasionally drops by here, like if it's convenient. And I wrote a song for him.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm really glad that the show I'm on is opens with a 5-minute thing about drinking piss. Oh, this is the Graham Lineham episode.
Do you want some vodka?
No, I'm okay. No,
it's made with potatoes.
I went to
I know it's not whiskey, but it's made with potatoes.
Now, we were talking backstage, Graham, and I think I mentioned this last time you were on, but I'm a huge Father Ted fan, which is one of your early shows. Was that your first one, or
25 years ago now?
Yeah, was that the first show that you created?
No, we did one before that called Paris, which was a sitcom about artists in the 1920s in Paris.
Yeah, if you've not seen Father Ted, please just get on Father Ted. It's really funny. It's really, really good.
Thank you.
And you're saying, kind of like in that loop thing where you keep doing the same thing, that 2 of your actors died on the same date.
That's right. Yeah, Frank left us. Father Jack left us this year. So.
On the same day.
Yeah.
Which is what date?
Oh God, I can't remember. I don't try and remember.
You should find out because you might be next.
No. But Ardle's getting a bit nervous. There's just 2 left, but they're still young, so it's going to be okay for a while, I hope. But anyway. You can cut things in this, can't you?
No, it all stays. If we're not cutting the pee and poo song, that's staying in.
I just have one more question about Ireland. Where's my wife?
She's your ex-wife now.
Well, okay, yeah, but it's like she went to Ireland. She never came back.
Really?
I think she's still over there. I don't know. I don't know.
She's in Edinburgh.
I just thought that would be a funny joke. I don't know.
It was great.
I lost my wife, but she did. Yeah, she was in Ireland for a while.
Right. Okay.
Do you blame Ireland for stealing your ex-wife?
Well, it's a beautiful country. Those flowing green hills, so act so innocent.
Yeah.
And then they bird dog you.
We went to see a comedian once in the States and somewhere, where was it? New York. And the guy said, who was doing the "Where are you from" business. And he said it to us, and we said Ireland, and he obviously wasn't expecting it. He was expecting a state.
Right.
And he just said, I flew over there once. Very green. And that was it.
You flew over Ireland.
Yeah.
What are you, a weather station worker headed for John Carpenter's The Thing? Flew over Ireland. Where's he going?
Yeah.
I don't know where Ireland is, so I thought maybe I figured
it's on the way to John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah. So what? I mean, it's kind of like we're hysterical over here right now, and we're kind of like probably not paying very much attention to everything. We're familiar that the UK hath Brexited, and we equated that with the right-leaning movement that we've been having over here.
It's hard. It's what's really great is that UK people can't feel too superior.
Right. No, that's immediately we were making that joke that we're like, at least the British won't be making fun of us during all of this. Like that was like nice. But
it's super hard.
But you're Irish, but I'm curious, like how is Scotland feeling about Brexit? I've never.
Scotland's in a weird position because Scotland recently voted to remain part of the United Kingdom.
Right.
And then Brexit happened.
Right.
And now it's going to happen again. They're probably going to want to get out now. So it's kind of, there's all sorts of insane things. The other thing they didn't take into account at all was the Northern Ireland situation. It's a very fragile peace that's lasted only, a couple of decades now. And they've just rolled the dice on it. So it's really odd.
Why is that so fragile? Why would Brexit affect?
Because the border in Northern Ireland that separates Ireland from Northern Ireland is what's called a soft border at the moment. You can, pass from Northern Ireland to Southern Ireland without going through, a lot of controls and so on. But that's going to have to change because Ireland's going to be part of the European Union and Northern Ireland isn't.
Of course. Yeah, okay.
It's just insane. But it's one of these things, it's kind of like what happened, I think, as well with what's happening in the States, in that people just started realizing, maybe people aren't really clever. maybe the people we trust, they do this, so they know what they're doing. Maybe they aren't really that clever. Maybe they're kind of crazy, some of them.
Yeah, which is an uplifting feeling, right? But you can't call it uplifting.
It has been this week, as you say. I've liked this week.
Is it like watching them, because it's like the insinuation is that, they can't do this.
Well, the only problem is if there's no one to replace them. I mean, if there's no one clever to replace them, then what do we do?
And they've already said they will not be replaced.
Yeah,
they were saying that and everything.
This was a good week, though, I think. I feel good about this week.
Well, because it turns out, I guess what it is it's like it's weird because I'm 44 now, and like the 24-year-old version of me would have, God knows where I'd be on this map, because I would throw my Writers Guild magazines across the room when I saw the diversity report card in the magazine, and I'd go, "Why are they spending my money? Who cares about diversity? It should be a meritocracy. The writers should be. You want the best writer for the job." And it was. Everything made sense to me. If you hooked me up to a lie detector test, I would. It's not like I ever would have said like, I'm racist, and it would have gone, bing, he's right. Like it wasn't racism. It was like kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to use such a haughty word as ignorance or something. It was just like my scope was kind of small at that time. I was also broke. Nothing makes you more susceptible to this kind of right-leaning, like toothy philosophy, like being fucking unemployed and having no control over your future. It's pretty easy then to...
Yeah, it makes it hard to be too joyous about all these idiots losing their jobs, because while it's short term it's great to see them losing their jobs, long term you got to think, well, what are these idiots going to do next, Yeah,
and also
where have they got to go?
Yeah.
I blame it all on heavy metal not really being a thing anymore. I think in the old days they just all have been listening to Iron Maiden and everything would be fine. You lose a lot of energy, headbanging, and that these kind of releases.
That's why Scandinavia is so chill, because they've got loads of metal up there. They love their metal.
Yeah. And so that stuff got replaced with like kind of methy club music, and now all of a sudden.
But do you remember? Wasn't there a period where in a stadium or something they burnt disco records in the 70s? Do you remember this?
Right. That was a big thing. Hating disco.
I think it's the same kind of people.
Right.
It's kind of and I just think there was a time when everyone was able to when the internet wasn't around, everyone was able to channel it into one of about, let's say, 15 activities, and now they can channel it into this weird kind of performance art that they're just realizing has real consequences. I'm very fascinated by why it's happened and why it's. And I don't know. One thing I'm wondering is, are there going to be a lot of these guys who with the death in Charlottesville, are there a lot of these irony kind of Nazis who are going to just suddenly go, oh, and back away from it? That's something that I'm interested in.
I think a certain percentage of that. I don't think anybody's going to be like really drawn to it that much. Like there was no maybe like Norman Bates or something.
Yeah,
I just think
I think the percentage of people that are into that kind of hardcore right-wing philosophy, that number probably stays around the same. But I think
they were all in that bandstand.
They feel a little liberated right now to come out there without their costumes on. And to come out and let that flag fly.
But that bandstand was great. The visual of that bandstand.
Hilarious.
I mean, the thing is, I've gone from being very optimistic and very joyful about the internet. There's a comedian called David O'Doherty who describes it like the internet used to be like this telescope that we'd look up and see other people and other lives, and it was amazing. And now it's like a shit pipe, and every day you look up and you think, oh, I wonder what's coming down the shit pipe.
That is that's not like the millennial generation. As much as I say they're dumb and whatever and poop on them because I'm an old man saying get off my lawn, but the thing to pity about them is that they've been born into a culture that we're processing everything through like time to get on the internet. The internet will always be a second language to us.
Yeah.
We'll always be translating real life into the internet and vice versa. And these poor kids, often it's characterized as a fire hose to the face of information. And we always thought, I think when you and I were kids, we probably thought when we think about the future and we think about minds connecting to each other, we always thought that meant everyone would get smarter and more patient, that you wouldn't even have the option. It would just be the information would be all up in your face, which would automatically make you less this, less that, less that. Slowly. But it turns out and it makes sense now that we're seeing it that doesn't make the case. That's not the case, because it's like if everything is bullshit, which it would appear to be. I mean, there is no way to represent truth without creating your own version, blah blah blah. I mean, but that doesn't mean you can say the Earth is flat and have Spencer not make fun of you. It just means that I think it's like we live in this age now where we're back to the propaganda kind of consciousness, but now we're conscious of it and conscious of the consciousness, and now everyone is just sort of, that's what this meme culture is. Like everyone's just going like, yeah, propaganda's a thing, so what's your propaganda? What's yours? And there's the only people left that are saying there's an objective truth are kind of like they're more right than everybody else because if they're calm and educated, but they're also incredibly frustrated because they're like, wait, how are you people just dancing to a completely different song that's not even playing? And they're like, because it is. And you're like, well, can't argue with that.
It's almost like when I first started thinking about this seriously, I thought, oh, we are now plugged into a consciousness. I mean, the hive mind is the word that we all use for it, but it really is like we are also plugged into the consciousness of a lot of, they might as well be bees.
Right.
It's just like a buzzing. You shouldn't know none of us should know what blackpilling is. Only some of us do.
I mean, there's an argument to be made that you and I shouldn't know how many stray dogs there are in Los Angeles. Like someone else would say, yes, you should know that. You need to be aware because that's a huge problem because that's their thing. And they're like, yeah, why would you not want to know? That's why there's 75 million of them, is because you didn't know and you didn't care. So now, thank God you know. Then you add 900 things like that. How do you not become a nihilist? How do you when you just know everything and everything is death?
Yes.
Everything is misery. There's no real fairy tale. There's no actual NBA All-Star who goes home to his wife and kids and eats an apple pie and like I don't know what our definition of a hero is, but it's like sooner or later.
His name is Kevin Durant.
But here's the thing. So that's a funny. I mean, that's the Mobius strip of this. Is that with this as shit gets more and more scary, the bar for heroism, I almost don't want to say it lowers, like it takes less of a hero, but it's just like the minimum standard for it becomes higher in that way, and then we re-enter a world where people are kind of like walking tall and like saying gallant things. I think that's a good thing.
Well, did you see the two newsreaders? I don't know what channel it was, but it was one of the rare times when they took a Trump mouthpiece and said, and every single point he tried to make, they said, no, that's not true, that's a lie. Did you see those guys? Did you see that one? It's a great video. It's well worth checking out. I wish I could remember.
Did you see the person that played a tuba next to the?
Yeah. Did you see? Did you see today the woman doing that to the civil?
Yeah.
Was that from? Then someone did a video of it, like the Ken Burns thing.
Yeah.
So good. That was the kind of internet I thought we would have. I thought it was going to be a great kind of outpouring of creativity, you know. But the unfortunate thing is that right-wing people aren't funny and they don't have a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's not even a controversial thing to say.
No,
it's like
they're not funny. So they think like how do you pronounce it? I don't think I've ever said in real life Peep or Pep.
Or Pepe.
Oh, Pepe.
So if they do a Pepe, I don't think I've ever said it. I've never had reason to, because people I know have lives. But like but you know, to have an image of Pepe putting someone in a gas chamber, you know, it's not funny on any level.
Right,
you know?
well, that's why they keep retreating to meta.
Oh, it's funny in a way you don't understand.
I'm 15 years old and I don't believe in God, and I'm moments from shooting up a school, maybe not. Hardy har har.
Yeah.
Here's a GIF of a Chinese baby getting run over in a parking lot. I jerked off to it. The only cool thing about that, those terrifying children.
He didn't really jerk off to it.
It's a fictional character. I'm making up but it's like that thing where they're like they're never more than one shocked reaction away from revealing that that's all part of the joke, and it's like this kind of odd. Yeah, it's like celebrating being. It's in a way. It's like well, we kind of pinned a medal on, for instance, gangster rap when it was the 90s and it was like. We're going from rapping about peas and carrots to all of a sudden this person's saying the N-word a lot and the F-word even more and the C-word and everything, and he's talking about shooting other people and all this stuff, and the parents are like, oh my God. And the defense of that is, well, we're just showing you how it is.
Yeah.
You know, we're expressing something that's going on, and it's kind of hard to argue with that. In fact, in the right cultural context, we applaud that. So now you've got these kids who are like...
They're not showing anything that's going on. They're showing what's going on.
They're showing what's going on to the human mind under the influence of a global culture, which is absolute warpage. They're showing what's going on when your parents don't hit you enough. Maybe that's a joke. See, I can do it too. But like they're showing,
you gotta hit your children, people. You gotta hit them.
They're showing how a primate reacts to being part of an 8 billion light bulb Christmas display, and it ain't pretty. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's excusable at all.
I went on holiday. I went offline for a while, and it was really good. I realized my mood was much better, and my son, my son noticed that when I was going back online, I was getting anxious.
Oh, dude, it's crazy, man. It's like Twitter. Which is the only thing I actually do go to online, because Reddit's like too.
I try not to.
But it's like an actual fucking like it's gotten to a point where for real it wouldn't even be a funny episode of Intervention. It would actually be like an understandable one, because it truly is like this toxic thing I'm doing to myself.
You feel like you're helping as well. Yeah. You feel like, oh, if I retweet this,
it's giving you a sense of order and justice and also like community and feelings and all this stuff. And so it's just like, you cannot fucking. I keep hitting that goddamn app, and then I'll delete it for a couple days, and then I'll be like cuddling with Cody and like laughing and all this stuff, and then somehow it'll come up because it's like embedded in a web page, or you click on a thing and you're like back on Twitter, and I'm like fucking. I'm just like I'm like snapping at people, you know, like I said, Dan, I want my eggs poached.
I like if I haven't seen Dan for a few days, I can tell if Dan is on a New York to LA flight and drunk, because there's 9 million tweets. Wait. You're trapped on a plane and something got under your skin. Also
another unfortunate thing about it is how fast time passes when you're on it. You know. Yeah. Sometimes I realize like I saw a sketch by these two guys that I really liked, and I just sent a direct message to them, and I said, "Great sketch," you know. They wrote back and said, "Oh, thank you," you know. And then I saw, because I'd written a direct message to him, I saw that the previous message to him had said something similar about an earlier one he did 5 years ago.
Oh wow!
So I had 2 conversations with this guy, and 5 years have passed in between these 2 conversations, and it feels like I blinked. It feels like I looked down at Twitter, and when I looked up, everyone's, you know, my kids are 10 years old, and
a U.S. president used it to get elected, and he continues. That's a really telling thing. We're going to look back at this and go, like, this is like having mercury in your food or something. I'm not saying everybody get off of Twitter. I'm saying, like obviously, like, yeah, wouldn't that be great if we all realized one app was somehow the thing? It's just that Twitter is a really easy example of it because Trump clearly got addicted to it. It's like blood magic, you know, right, buddy?
Yeah.
Right?
Hashtag.
It's like this weird like magic that like gets in your body and then it kind of takes you over. And before, like, that guy can't. We've all been saying it over and over again. He can't stay off Twitter. He like got elected through it. So why would he stop? And I feel exactly the same way. I didn't get elected, but I keep feeling like, well, my life up till now has gotten where it is with Twitter in my pocket. I've tweeted my life, and it's fucking insane. It's like I used to blog.
yeah.
N-word. I used to express myself in prose. Recreational.
He used to not say N-word.
It was like and
He said the N-word.
by the way, let's trade. My leader is so dumb, like, because we're not totally in tune. My president revealed today, absolutely unequivocally, totally empirically, including like multiple peer-reviewed control groups, scientific lab, he didn't know how to spell the word heal.
Yes.
And it was scientifically proven because he deleted it twice. You know about this, right?
I do not.
He wrote, "Our country will heal. We're going to heal the country." So not only multiple times, there's
heal
no
twice.
typos. And then, so heal was twice in the tweet.
But he gave it double E?
Then the tweet was deleted, and then reposted, same spelling, and then deleted again. This is in the span of 36 minutes that the leader of the free world, as we used to call it, is figuring out homonyms. Forget about North Korea. I got that figured out. Fire and fury. Now, but if I say "Dear Mom" in a letter, why has she got no antlers? Harvard? Where did he go? Didn't he go to fucking college? I dropped out.
I don't know where he went.
He probably
went to college.
He's a college
The
graduate.
consensus is he kind of just bought his way through.
Well, yeah, but how can that be? It's like that's fucking insane.
Dan, he couldn't go to college. He was too busy not fighting in Vietnam.
Anyways, well, give us a how,
Oh, I'm not sure there's anything. I mean, like, everyone knows how to spell. That's kind of the base.
In Europe, the idiots know how to spell.
They do know how to spell, but it's almost worse in a way, because, as I say, that kind of level of people, they don't seem to know what they're doing, is disguised by their ability to spell. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so like so you don't really see how disastrous everything is.
Like Boris Johnson and Le Pen, like they can spell, but they're still villains.
Well, you're right about that, because whether or not they realize it or not, it's just like so flies in the face of. I think Malcolm X had some quote of like I think it was him that said something that's like, you know, underneath something about that racism gets a stronger reaction when there's a suspicion that it's valid or something like that. I can't remember the actual quote. He was speaking to the fact that we all know in common psychology, which is like, you know, if you're truly like fucking, you know, the score and you're cool and objective truth is on your side and life is fair to you, someone calls you honky, like you're like, yeah, and but if the cards are not stacked in your favor and all these things, and you've been, and then someone says something fucked up to you, your anger could be, it's buoyed by the, as he put it, I think suspicion of its validity or something like that. So now you have this like kind of right-wing movement which says what? It's predicated on this idea that in America, first of all, there was a golden age that's fascism 101, some reference to it, some fucking like vague golden age that no one will ever be pinned down on. Make America great again. When was it great? They will never answer that question. 1983. Okay, well now that you said that, I'm going to show you charts. Fake news. It's this idea that but whiteness is better. America's better. America's a white country. The Statue of Liberty only says huddled masses on the bottom of it because there was a poetry contest. Like, come on, we've never meant that. That was co-opted. That was Michelle Obama turned that into a thing.
Also, she's green.
Yeah,
she's not even white.
But when they can't spell first grade English, it does help, like because you could be still a 90 IQ anti-immigration politician, and just by virtue of boarding school, you could spell the word heel.
Pence is really dangerous.
Yeah,
I think for that reason.
Everyone moderate who now knows how many doors can be opened and how quickly and how far they're allowed to go before anyone cries uncle is dangerous.
And
now everyone is dangerous.
It's really frightening to me that Pence would never have got within miles of the White House if he hadn't snuck in under Donald's fart cloud. There's no way.
Donald's fart cloud? Is that what you said?
It's like a protective.
I'm writing that down.
That's the new series you're pitching while you're here. I don't know.
But he wouldn't be. No one would like. He's even visibly disturbing. There's something very kind of Stephen King villain about him, and he just wouldn't have got in. And now what? He's going to be in power for three years. I mean, that's something I'm a little bit worried about. More worried in a weird way than Donald, because I'm kind of enjoying watching Donald become the biggest loser of all time.
Yeah. But there could be a thing here. It could be like a defibrillation, a near-death experience where coming out of it, no matter what happens, as politics resumes being politics and becomes even more dangerous because it stops being a rodeo clown, that the woke, the millennials, the younger people, even than them, have now experienced this thing of like, are you telling me that becoming the president is, first of all, not a contest that you win by being a good person, not a contest you even win by being good at that job, but most importantly is actually holds no reward. If you actually just blunder into it and start throwing birthday parties for yourself, you will become more hated than if you had just stayed a manager at Burger King. And therefore maybe there are more important things going on in my world than winning this weird Highlander contest of who can be the biggest douche. And then maybe I don't know, but let's talk about, I want to talk to you as a writer so I can pretend that I'm one. About
vice versa.
Are you finding it difficult to write, period? Right now?
Yeah, kind of. I mean...
Good. Okay, good.
No, I think it's... what's the problem? What's the problem with it?
Because life is a fucking screenplay? And you can't type fade in and a guy finding magic shoes?
There's interesting things...
It's like, well, what? Do the shoes turn into Hitler heads? Because otherwise I'm beaten by...
But I think you might suffer from that worse than me, because I think you're in a great way very cerebral, and I think that you hate Tim and Eric, I know, have this thing where I think they said once that a lot of their style just comes from them being terrified of boring people. So they have that kind of very insane style that
I have no such fear.
But your stuff is very aware of itself. It's very aware of what it's doing. I try and suppress that for a first draft. You know what I mean? Sometimes successfully and sometimes not, but it's harder to do that these days because it's like what you were saying. I think you said about Rick and Morty that you were going to have a big secret, but you decided not to because the internet would figure it out before.
And did,
yeah. And that's kind of the problem. It's like you're competing now against a giant wasp brain.
Yeah.
You know, that is the world. And that makes it a little bit more difficult to do the necessity of a boring first draft.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I'll tell you what I'm doing that's helping. I'm watching a lot of Cheers. That helps. Because you look at Coach and you just think, I want to write someone like Coach.
Right.
You know, I love him.
But Graham, the show you're working on now is what's it called?
We just did a show,
Count Arthur Strong?
Count Arthur Strong, yeah, which is this really funny guy played by Steve Delaney, who we had 3 years on BBC One, where I might as well have just thrown every episode down a crevasse because they didn't repeat it. And
No, but when you're writing,
please don't let me stop complaining about that. It'll just die there, and I'll look like I'm blaming everyone but ourselves. But
when you're writing your stuff, like, you're writing for mostly a UK audience, or?
Yeah, but I'm hoping that everything travels the way the IT crowd and TED has kind of traveled a little bit, you know?
But
IT crowd especially.
But you're not hopefully writing to try to please a certain kind of audience. You're just writing what you like. But like,
No, I guess I was always really... I mean, I don't want to speak ill of any show, but I always preferred Seinfeld to Curb. Because for me, Seinfeld, because it had to navigate the kind of strictures of commercial network TV, for me, it was like a Cole Porter song or something. It was just a bit more elegant than Curb for me.
Because of the constraints.
Yeah, because of the constraints, and I felt that the performances were stronger, and the whole thing together. I like the elegance, and I like when things are difficult. So with Count Arthur, for instance, you know, we don't curse because kids love him. You know, so writing a night, and one of my favorite things, which I think I've spoken about before on this show, but one of my favorite things is taking taboo subjects and making them palatable to a family audience. I think that's a really funny thing when you get it right, and I thought Seinfeld did that beautifully. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
Their incest episode was amazing,
and Master.
She's a brother fucker. She fucks her brother. Oh, yeah. I'd like to be her brother. Giddy up.
But yeah, they would.
Why is it that, I mean, you probably can't answer this because it's a question about my own taste, but like, why do I find English or Irish, like, writers and TV shows,
same reason I like American shows.
Toast of London is the funniest goddamn thing.
Yeah,
in the world.
that's
is it because they sound funny? Is that the answer?
But you know, that's written by Arthur, who did Father Ted as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's Arthur.
Yeah, that's a fucking doozy.
Yeah. But that's, you know, it's the same thing. When me and Arthur, we used to watch little clips of Saturday Night Live, which you couldn't see. It wasn't broadcast over where we were, so we would just see little videos of it, you know, later on YouTube and stuff. But beforehand, they were just on these compilations where they had to show tiny clips because they couldn't use any of the celebrities because they would have to pay them again or something.
Oh, wow, weird.
So you'd only see like snatches of sketches.
Just all Lorraine Newman.
Yeah, but we would see we would see a sketch like Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. You know, it was like, that is the greatest thing, and we just thought they were working on this, you know, really high level, and it wasn't until we saw, you know, whole episodes where we realized, oh, okay, it's a little bit more conventional.
Also, you grew up at Monty Python, and we didn't. Like you would.
Yeah.
It's like I saw Monty Python piecemeal through like weird syndicated shows in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And I saw Python when I was a teenager, so it had that, and a kid, so it had a very strong effect on me. Probably more of an effect. You know, it's just, you see stuff that when it's hard to see, it feels more valuable.
Yeah, because I didn't know what a budgie was. I didn't know that was a parakeet.
Oh, really?
I just knew it was a funny word. I just thought they were making shit up. Like they were
right.
Like, no, that's a thing in England. I didn't know that.
Well, I remember that.
Well, half the American audience as teenagers probably didn't know what the Spanish Inquisition was. I thought I was like, oh, that's funny as a joke from history class, but like, so you didn't have to know because it's like, that's the thing I'm always like it doesn't matter how many references, you know, like it doesn't matter that. But
they were great because they didn't seem to have a lot of references. I mean,
Python?
Yeah,
I mean, it was like-
not cultural references. It was all very.
Not pop cultural.
Yeah.
Like not like of the
But
moment.
they were
like,
all
like-
culture references to us because we don't know what Yorkshire is and we don't know what
Right.
Burnley is, and they were.
But maybe that's why it travels. I don't know. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it just. I remember being like a freshman in high school and being in theater class, and then we were doing a play, and the seniors they all had the secret language, and they were all. I found out years later they were all quoting Monty Python.
Okay.
Somebody had gotten a hold of some tapes or something like that, and they would all like it is a fish, or like yeah. No one expects a Spanish Inquisition. I had no idea what they're talking about. I thought they were all just like great friends who had their own like riffs, but like
Yeah.
it's like no, like they were all speaking Monty Python, and it was like the punk rock of comedy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
kinda curious
I still
if,
don't think it's been beaten as a sketch show.
Is Dez here? Our new. He's not here, is he? All right, fine. Jeez, you remember how excited we were? Dez, the blind guy.
Yeah.
And we were like, "You should come back," and he was like, obviously got in his van and was like, "Fuck off."
I mean, he's blind. He could be anywhere right now. He doesn't.
He probably thinks he's at the show.
He's probably like, this show is a little light on laughs.
So he's here. Yeah, but what's yeah? So so we talked about like finding it harder to write. Now let's talk about how have the duties changed in writing? If you do manage to write again and you're writing comedy, like how? Because the thing is, what you're talking about is saying I'm watching Cheers. Well, good. So you're saying getting back to the craft of just like making people happy. You're right. Like, am I spoiled by the idea that it's okay for things to acknowledge what's happening outside the bubble of television reality? Is it a superior craft to like go, all right, I mean, well, the answer is yes, in my opinion. It's just that I don't know how to do that, though.
I'm not sure what can you rephrase that?
Yeah, I don't. Well, I haven't finished even wrongly phrasing it.
He answered his own question that he hadn't quite asked himself.
I'm just sort of babbling about it because I'm like, I mean, when you say watching Cheers and like, I'm thinking about like, okay, so like Cheers didn't say there's either socialism or fascism happening outside of the Cheers bar.
Right.
Cheers might make jokes where if you were an alien society, you could go, it appears they lived in some kind of democratic republic because they just made a joke about a senator. but
well, we did on Count Arthur.
9/11. It's 9/11. They call out 9/11.
It's 9/11.
I don't know what's gotten into them.
Well, you know, we
never encouraged it.
I don't know if I'm answering the question, but with Count Arthur, the thing we just did, we just made the guy who owned the cafe they all go to Turkish, you know, and we lost a lot of his idiot fans from his previous incarnation, a lot of his idiot racist fans, and that's what we wanted to do.
Wait, so he's not Turkish, he plays a Turkish character, and fans of his...
No, sorry, Steve Count Arthur.
Yeah.
It was a radio show before it was a TV show, and on the radio show it was totally different. We reinvented it for the TV. One of the things we put in was this Turkish guy, and so, you know, Steve and I discovered that a lot of racists liked him, and they just fucked off, you know. So we just had this kind of nice filter that, you know, we got rid of a lot of people we didn't like just by having a character who...
That's fucking crazy.
You know, but the thing about it, I mean, actually, I hope I'm not exaggerating. There wasn't many. It was just with the internet, you always think there's more than there are.
Oh, they're louder because they know they represent nothing, and they know that there's no shows for them, and they know they're fucking desperate. They'll grab 1,000 pots and pans and bang them as hard as they can.
And you think there's more than there are. So, but you know, it was nice to, and so I think the whole diversity thing, you know, for us it was a very natural character to have in the show because there's a lot of Turkish.
It's a lot like trolling, right? Like
people in London, you know, and like it just felt right.
You're doing things that in your gut, you know, you have a processor. You go like, the certain kind of person is gonna bump on this,
but
and then you
genuinely didn't know that would happen. I genuinely didn't think just the appearance of this character in the show would have a lot of people saying like we were called politically correct,
right?
Just because we had this character in, you know, and I didn't expect that, you know. It was very strange.
What was the impulse to make that character Turkish in the first place? Like,
Because we knew a lot of Turkish guys who were like that, and we thought they were funny, kind of grumpy. You know, a little bit of the soup Nazi in there as well. Who, you know, everything I do is influenced by Seinfeld in some way. And we found this brilliant actor who was just when he never smiled, he was hilarious.
So they just wanted the show to be Lily White and no.
Yeah, because that's how the original was.
Right,
you know?
the radio one.
You know, anything that was different to that, and there was a mixed race relationship in it, and that.
I think that people that freak out, it's like, I'm going to say a solid chunk of them, they're not actually, if you change Peter Parker to African American, if you say this character can be female now, if you, I think that there's surely a bunch of people that are like, no, I hate women, you shouldn't do that. And then there's these like cousins of theirs who are perfectly comfortable standing next to them because they think that they're such big fans of comedy or sci-fi or comic books or whatever their thing is. They think that they're such big, great fans that
they're being
and that they perceive this agenda that has nothing to do with, for instance, making comic books as cool as they can be, making video games as great as they can be, making movies as funny or as loyal to this or that, and that it actually is, it's almost like a recruitment thing for them. It's like those guys go, oh man, Doctor Who's a woman? Like, that ain't Doctor Who. And then there's a Nazi standing in the shadows 5 feet from there going, psst, over here. We agree. Doctor Who ain't Doctor Who no more. If it's a Dr. Her, come over here. And they're like, what? Yeah, I'm so frustrated. They're like, oh, you don't know the frustration. How many people is 6 million people? Do you think? It's a lot of people. Exactly. Come here. Just keep walking with me. It's getting awful dark. Not to cast any of those people as innocents, but I do think I think that I think it's like there's a difference between hate and ignorance. I think that, hopefully, because otherwise we got to just go, oh, there's all these hateful people. We might as well be like, fine, they're like White Walkers, and let's just either like eliminate them or let them kill us. Like, no, it's like it's not like that. It's like there's a lot of ignorance at play. And people get like at different times in their life, like they go like, "Oh, I hate this idea that feminism is a thing in comedy. I'm sick of reading these articles. I can't all these headlines. Oh, women. I'm so sick of the women." And that's that. You must not be thinking about comedy very much if you're focused on women being involved. That's not comedy. Comedy should be about the comedy, which is me at 24 throwing that magazine across the room.
Yeah. But as far as I've done it for a long time now. I know I can do a certain type of show. We did Father Ted. It had three male characters and one female character. I know I can do that. It would be interesting to do a show with 3 female characters and 1 male character, which we've just done. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It just keeps you limber.
Well, yeah. Well, I think the important thing is to do that and then have it be fucking awesome, because because that's the. It doesn't. It otherwise you're just like it's like you're pouring like energy into this weird engine that exists where I don't even know. That's another half hour.
You just know you can do it. You know you can do it. So why do it again? Why That's why I think diversity is an interest. It's another discipline. And it's another stricture you can put on yourself. And that, I don't know, I think that leads to interesting, as I say, Seinfeld for me, best example. You can't talk about masturbating on a show, but so they come up with, 3 different ways of talking about it, it's just, that's where the fun is, So why not embrace it? Why not embrace something like diversity as a chance to show what you can do?
Yeah.
And
I think the unspoken answer is,
if not, for the wider reasons. I mean, also obviously there are good reasons to do it anyway, but for reasons of artistic reasons, it's a good artistic reason too. It's a good reason.
Yeah, guys like me, I always want to just say, like, don't you want to prove that you're the most talented person in the world?
Yeah.
So don't you want all of this nonsense about anyone not having access and any suspicions of an unfair field to be abolished, so that at some point in your life you can go, I'm the best writer.
There's a flip side to it though with the internet though, which really does annoy me, which is people telling writers what they can and can't write about. That really annoys me. You
Right.
see that a lot. Like writers are jukeboxes.
Right.
You know, and that's a really good argument for unplugging yourself from the internet.
Yeah.
You know?
The uplifting thing about that though is that I go like, shit, man, no one's gonna replace me. This generation is fucked. They think TV's like a faucet. They're just like, psh. I was like, so there ain't no 25-year-old Dan Harmon coming down the pike.
Do you feel like that though? Does that worry you? 'Cause
Well,
I
when I see that stuff, that's how I make myself feel better. I'm like, well, if this person can yell at the creator of a show and say you're not creating it right, then like no one's gonna these kids are not equipped to produce a competitor.
I really like it, isn't it? Isn't it? I've got this terrible twin. Is this boring for everybody?
Well,
I've got this terrible.
someone nodded.
And that person, Norman Lear.
I've got this.
Sorry, Mr. Lear.
He comes up with his
We're
belt
sorry,
like
Mr.
a wrestler. Yeah, I'm bored. I'm bored of the scene, Mean Gene. I'm bored of these whippersnappers talking about how they should diversify. I think you need to energify.
But,
Ain't that right, William?
Ain't that? He's a writer, everybody. Ain't that right, William? We'll be right back.
I tried to think of another showrunner. I was like, I don't know.
James L. Brooks.
I got this double thing going on where I kind of don't like watching new things because I'm jealous, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I really want to see good things. So because when you see good things, it makes you want to write better things, but it's really hard.
It's like showering for me.
almost like-
Every time I'm in the shower, I'm like, I should do this all the time.
Yeah.
And that's like how I feel if I'm halfway through an episode of New Girl. I'm like, why the fuck don't I do this?
Yeah.
This is fine.
The recent one for me was The Good Place, which I started watching, and because it's just a show, my inclination is not to watch it.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I don't know what that fucking is, man. I haven't watched Atlanta
It's
yet.
good.
Like,
It's really good. Megan Amram, who's really funny.
Grandma, Dan, you don't read like literature, like novels or things like that, right?
Yeah, I'm a real bookworm. What the fuck?
But we've talked about this.
But I need to ask though. This is something I've tried to ask him on Twitter, and I never get an answer. So I'm going to be able to ask you now. Where does your understanding of the circle come from? Is it from reading Campbell?
The first thing I read is that book you mentioned, Christopher Vogler's Writer's Journey. Before and then having, I always recommend that to young people or old people that haven't. I mean new people.
Yeah.
Like that are like asking me how do I process like the Campbell stuff, and I said, like, read the Vogler book first because it's so
simple,
paint by numbers, but don't stop there because having read that now, like, try to digest Campbell from cover to cover.
I bought it today, and I started reading it.
Yeah.
And it's
Hero of a Thousand Faces.
Yeah,
It's tough going, man.
Because once you've got Vogler or any other kind of
it's pretty readable, I thought.
Well, actually, there's a chapter or two in there for me that I've had to read and reread and reread.
Yeah, but that's what
every paragraph that
5 and
Campbell
6
writes, you have to reread 1,000 times. I mean,
but that's what 5 and 6 on the circle is like for me.
Yeah, it gets really dense at one point. I'm like, okay, he's blowing my mind. I think.
Yeah.
Because my mind has been blown, so my mind doesn't work anymore.
Well, he's explaining to you that the concept of mind blowing reveals to you that you are the mind blower.
But you see, I've been asked to go to Australia and talk to people about comedy writing, like to do a course like Robert McKee or something.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm just copying your blog post.
But they just want, you know what those guys want down there? I've been down there. They want you to pretend they don't have poisonous spiders. They're very sensitive about that. Apparently there hasn't been a poisonous spider death in 30 years. Whatever. I said to them, no other country has that statistic. You protest too much, Australia. But they really just like the sound. They like you to sound like one of them. So can I teach you a phrase?
Oh, wait. Stand back.
I like that hat, mate. Just remember that. If you get into a jam, just go, I like that hat, mate.
You know what I find suspicious about the Aussies is that they really insist that you don't have any worries.
Yeah.
They don't want you. They want you to have no worries at all time. I'm like, that worries me.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
but the thing is, I don't really have a unified theory of writing. My stuff is grabbed from all different places, and character.
I'll give you a sneak. I found there's a cheat. Okay,
great.
the circle. Okay,
Yeah.
so just do quadrants now. Top half is. I want to make sure I get this right.
Order.
No, stop. So, top half is good.
Appetizers.
Just stop. God damn it. So, top half is good. Bottom half is bad. Right half is dishonest. Left half is honest.
Oh no, I know that one. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because it's just a cheat. You're just
I forgot
okay,
about
well,
that.
it doesn't even matter. Your things about a banana. Okay, so good, dishonest,
Good,
cross the
dishonest,
threshold into
bad, dishonest banana.
bad, dishonest, and then the
Bad, honest
goddess
banana.
midpoint. Like there's this truth that changes everything. It's like another threshold. You go into. Honest bad, which is like why you get your ass kicked, because it's like the truth is you suck,
But you
and then you recover from that, and now the truth can be that you're good.
Yeah.
Can you riff the banana story? Like, just kind of give us the beats of good. I want to know. I want to know what bad, dishonest banana
Something
is.
to do
all
with
about.
ripening.
In my Seth Rogen animated film called Banana Boys, there's a bunch of bananas, and they all agree that getting peeled is the worst.
The worst.
It's the worst. So they try to avoid getting peeled, and then one of them gets peeled, and he has to adapt to getting peeled. So he's like a naked banana, and he's like, he's cool with it, and then he finds out that bananas are actually plantains. That he was never a banana, and so
This summer.
He was adopted. His parents didn't want him. He just looked like a banana. It doesn't matter, peeled, unpeeled. Go fuck yourself. And then he gets back to the fucking banana store.
I'll just tell the Australians that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's never going to sound very great on the whiteboard. Like,
But I tell you, that was the biggest change in writing for me, was seeing that Juicy Details post. Once I realized that everything in the second half was the trailer. That's how I describe it to people. That everything in the bottom half is the trailer for that week's episode. And I thought that was just so clear. As soon as I realized that, you could start filling out the bottom half, and that helps you decide what the top half is. It's so easy and wonderful. It made everything better for me.
As you can imagine, if you ran the simulator, as if a writer that you admired saying that to you, it hits you in like an Oreo of flattery and fucking panic, because you're like, wait, what? So then there's going to be some subreddit where people say, have you noticed that since Graham said that Dan Harmon changed how he wrote, that all his shit sucks or something? Like they're gonna they'll trace it or something, and I'll be like, I don't want any responsibility.
No, don't worry.
Like, don't listen to me.
I won't tell you the exact point I started.
They called out 9/11 because we start playing D&D around this time.
Yeah.
So stick around and have a drink with me after, or you can.
I'd love to. I got to meet a friend, so I don't know what he's doing, but I will.
All right, then fuck you. I mean, you're giving us an Irish goodbye. That's amazing.
No, it's not.
We don't usually get the real thing. It's a real Irish goodbye. Everybody thank Graham for coming.
Graham Linehan, everybody. Thank you, Graham.